Hi there, Joe Cracco here, Chef Joe on Instagram and YouTube, with one of my favorite breakfast and brunch dishes, frittata. Frittata is a baked egg dish with whatever good stuff you got in it, and today I'm going to take a little Mexican twist on that. We're still in quarantine here in New York City, so we're going to take a trip south of the border today. Basically, frittata, you need eggs and flavor. So for mine, we're going to do, like I said, Mexican. So we've got a selection of peppers, jalapeno, this is a tofu product called soyrizo, but it's a chorizo product. It's super tasty. Cheese. I have a really cool ingredient here from the wild called ram. It's very similar to a scallion. Flavor-wise, it tastes like onion and garlic had a baby. It's awesome. You can use the greens and the stems. Think of it like a scallion, so if you don't have wild rams, it's totally okay. Just substitute in a bunch of scallions for that. And then I've got some herbs to go with it. Cilantro and oregano go really great with Mexican cuisine, and then a little bit of parsley. Parsley's got some nice vitamin C in it, as well as the peppers, so it'll help with your immune system as we're battling the coronavirus here. Yeah, it should be fun. Frittatas are awesome. Take different flavor profiles, but you could also utilize stuff that you've got left over in the refrigerator. When we get to a certain point in the cooking process, I'll show you what you could have done to just utilize leftovers. For this one, I'm going to take a Mexican twist on it. So this is my Mexican frittata, quarantine style. See you in a little bit. So we have 4 medium-sized pepper of varying colors. We have 1 jalapeno. We have my small bunch of rams, but you could use scallions if you don't have those. Half a pound of cheese. This is a cheddar cheese, which we're just going to grate on the box grater, aka the knuckle buster. And this is the soyrizo made by Tofurky. Really awesome product. 10 eggs. I'm using a 12-inch skillet, so use less eggs for a smaller skillet. Quarter bunch parsley, cilantro, and oregano. Pick the leaves off of that and just give it a quick chop. For peppers, easy way to cut them is 1 cut from top to bottom. 2 cuts on either side of the top of the stem. And then if you grab this guy, you can just peel it out, taking any membrane with it as well. Then if you want to take the extra part out, flip them over, bang the seeds out, and it's good to go. And then cut the pepper into strips, stack up all the strips, and tip of the knife down. Easy peasy. We're going to repeat the process with all of the peppers. All right, so for the ramps, what we're going to do is we're just going to separate the greens from the stem. And same thing if you were using scallions, separating the greens from the stems. And now that we've got all the greens, just going to roll it up. And slice through it. And for the stems, same thing. Hold a nice bunch. Okay, that's that. So this is what we call mise en place, which is French for everything in its place. That means that we have all of our items prepared and ready for when we need them. This will help us work more efficiently and be ready for each step of the cooking process. All right, so we have our mise en place, all of our goodies ready to go. Just want to show you what I like to do with the eggs. This is a Jacques Pepin technique. He uses sour cream or creme fraiche. I've got my 10 eggs and about 2 tablespoons of creme fraiche or a 1/4 cup and salt. And then what I like to do is use an immersion blender, buzz them up. This will give a really smooth texture and almost like fluffiness to the final product when the eggs are cooked in the frittata. Do it in small pulses. If you crank it on full blast, you might redecorate your kitchen. One thing that I like to do is add the herbs to it. So I'm going to add the greens of the ramps, or scallions if you don't have ramps, and then the chopped parsley and cilantro to here, and buzz that up as well. It'll give it a nice light green color, but disperse it amongst the eggs well. Okay? And then once you have them in here, just give it a quick buzz. Excellent. We've got our 12-inch enameled cast iron, medium-high heat, about a tablespoon of peanut oil. It's nice and hot now. We're going to sear the soyrizo to add a little bit of a brown flavor to it. And we're going for that Maillard reaction, which is the browning of proteins at a high temperature, like you get on grilled steaks, seared meats. Tofu is based on soy protein. You can still brown that protein at a high temp. So instead of this nugget like this, we want to just break it up into a couple little chunks to give it a little more surface area on the pan, and we'll get that searing flavor. Once you've dispersed it evenly, as always with searing, don't touch it. If you keep stirring it, it's going to sweat. Just leave it for about 45 seconds to a minute and let it sear.
Smells good.
So one thing I like about this soyrizo is it does sear up pretty nicely. We're getting a nice brown color. And it browns up very similar to what real meat does. So for a vegetarian option, this is super, super delicious. But we just wanted to add that one layer of flavor to it by searing it, and now we'll take it out of the pan.
Nice.
We're going to saute the rest of our ingredients. We'll start with our pepper mixture. Once the peppers are in the pan, I'm going to turn the heat up to high because we want to saute it. That'll help it cook more quickly, and maybe we can get a little bit of browning on the peppers as well. About a minute has passed. I can start smelling the searing of the peppers underneath, which is ideal. Add a little bit of salt and pepper, so we season these things as we go. Now for our first stirring. Smells delicious. All right, one more minute has passed. We'll stir it again. Starting to get some searing on the peppers. Very nice. We'll give it another 30 seconds. And we're going to add a couple of aromatics, scallion or ramp stems, and our chopped oregano. Peppers and oregano is a really great combination.
How many push-ups do you have to do in order to pick up that pan like that? Oh.
So, my pepper and ramp mixture is almost done. The soyrizo's got nice browning to it. All of these ingredients are just about fully cooked and relatively warm. Let's just say you wanted to use leftover. You've got some roast beef, roasted potatoes, and some wilted spinach. You could use all that in your frittata since those ingredients are already cooked. You would just need to warm them, and then you'll add the egg mixture on top. But any combination of ingredients can be used to make frittata. The eggs is what bind it. Now I'm going to show you a really easy technique. You can get it out of the pan without it sticking. Okay, so these are all nice and ready. You're going to turn the heat down to medium, medium-low. We're going to add our soyrizo back in. Give that one quick stir. It smells really good. That soyrizo is a super awesome product. Here comes the easy part. We've got our 10 eggs buzzed up in our herb mixture, and we're going to drizzle that into our hot pan. So when you pour the mixture in, quiets the pan down. Make sure you get an even disbursement of it all the way around. I use a little rubber spat so that I can get good to the last drop. And then we'll sprinkle in our cheese. With your spatula, just evenly disperse the cheese on the top of the frittata, pressing it in lightly so it's not all up at the surface. So we want to give this just a touch of bottom heat. And you can see in small parts of it, steam and bubbles are starting to come up. When we start seeing bubbles all throughout it, it's starting to cook on the bottom, and then we'll transfer it into our broiler. So now we've got a little vent where the steam is coming out of the frittata. That's when I'm going to put it in the oven. So we're going to go to the top shelf of the oven with that broiler. Going to give us heat from the top. So that's only going to take a couple minutes in the oven. We've got the broiler heat coming from the top, the hot pan coming from the bottom. It's only going to take about 3-4 minutes, so watch it so you don't burn your cheese. So it's browning nicely in the broiler, but if you notice it's getting an uneven browning, just grab it, give it a quick rotation, and that way you can get even cooking on all parts of it. If you give it a little wiggle, you'll see there's still a bit of that juiciness. It needs a touch more time, but it's looking tasty. So it's been about 3 minutes. We've got this beautiful even browning on the top. The way you check to see if it's done is you can give it a little wiggle. And it looks a touch liquidy here in the center. You can also press on it. Firm. A little juicy here in that middle part. So since we've got this nice color, just going to put it lower in the oven, not right up next to the broiler, so it's still getting top heat, but not that super high heat. A couple more minutes have passed. The frittata is firm to the touch all over. Just the edge of the frittata is starting to puff up a tiny bit, but not in the center. That would mean that it's overcooking like a souffle. So the frittata came out of the oven. It's been resting on the stove for about 2 minutes. Next, we just need to cut it. I'm going to use a serrated paring knife. We're going to cut once around to make sure it's not sticking to the pan. and then cut it into however many pieces you like. I usually do 8.
Whoa.
All right, so we're just gonna really simply serve this with some toast. You could do a little side salad, you can do some roasted potatoes. So since we've got a little bit of spiciness in the dish, we're gonna be pairing it with Chenin Blanc from the Loire Valley, made by François Chidane from the village of Mont-Louis-sur-Loire. This is bottling called de Choiseul. And it does have just a tiny bit of residual sugar to it, but very, very low. There's a little bit of spiciness from the jalapeno, and the chorizo has a touch of spice as well. So that little tiny bit of sweetness and light apple type fruit that you get in Chenin Blanc is going to cool that spiciness down. And this is a little bit older bottling, so there's this very, very light nuttiness or kind of this clean lemon aroma, which is going to go really, really nice with that brown cheese on top. But François Chidane is an awesome biodynamic producer in Mont-Louis-sur-Loire, and this wine is really, really lovely. It smells of sweet honey and herbs. Apple, kind of like a poached yellow apple. Also this light kind of dried apricot quality. Really, really gorgeous wine. Medium plus acidity, it's very bright, very juicy. That fruit is very, very pristine and very clean. And just a little bit of complexity underneath, nice minerality, and should be super fun. So again, I'm Chef Joe Krakow. Check me out on Facebook and Instagram for more videos, and enjoy.